Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 337. I'm on drugs. So, if I seem a bit woozy, a bit out of sorts, if I'm sweating profusely, that one's because it's hot. But the rest of it, I'm going to blame on the drugs. So, let me tell you why I'm on drugs. So, I'm 43. And this Wednesday, I had an experience. One that most adults my age first experienced decades ago. Oh yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I got stung by a bee. Yeah, 43 years old, first time. Never been stung by a bee before. It, stings. So I was, outside doing my cardio, which in this weather is, probably not too bright. You know, a lot of time, one of my, main loops for my cardio run is a very wide, the radius is big. It's 4 miles, it goes way out into the loop, something like that. I've just been going up and down the street because I don't want to drop dead from heat exhaustion. So this summer I've not been traveling too far from home. Now outside are some lovely landscaped flower beds, which the bees love, and bees are cool. So I was running past, and a bee, unbeknownst to me, landed on the back of my hand. I noticed it when it stung me. I was wearing I had my weights on, which includes wrist weights, and poor little dude got caught between the back of my hand and the wrist weight, and I guess panicked and stung me and got stuck. And I went, ow! And looked, little bee. Trying to jostle the sucker loose. Because I know their bee butts are very fragile. But despite my best efforts, I seem to have torn the ass off of a bee. Because when it flew away, it left its butt in the back of my hand. And I stopped and I thought, I'm allergic to some things. I hope bees aren't one of them. I'm pretty close to home. Respiratory still seems fine. Of course, at this point, I was breathing heavy anyway, so I'm like, okay, am I just winded because I've been running up a hill with 30 some pounds of weights? Or is my airway constricting because I got stung by a bee? I didn't notice any swelling. I'm like, okay, I think I'm fine, but like with the heat exhaustion, I should probably stay close to home. As Chaos says, another reason I avoid outdoors in sunlight. MX says, I've been first stung at probably 7 years old. Can't tell. My sister had several bad run-ins with bees when she and I were in the single-digit ages. I know two of them near a pool, because she stepped on a bee and it stung her in the heel, and then she was in the pool. This was at a pool, and this was not the same day, but another time at a pool, she surfaced and a bee landed on her neck and stung her there. I think she's been stung 4 times in all. I don't remember what all of them are, but yeah. So I've avoided the bees better than my sister. So took a picture for posterity, which turned out to be a pretty good idea, because the next morning when I woke up, the spot was you can still see it. The spot was raised and red and locally swollen. And I'm like, Oh, well, that's worse. Still got mobility. I can breathe fine. It's probably fine. And Jared said, might have gotten me multiple times. I see only one bump, so I don't think it went dap, dap, dap. I think it just went dap. Ah, I'm stuck. Ah, I'm stuck. Ah, I'm stuck. Oh, my butt's gone. So I made out better than the bee did. So I don't know how well my phone shows up. The pictures are on my Twitter. Yeah, there you go. There's the next morning. That's the second day. This was immediately after getting stung. I'm still wearing my wrist weight. You can see the mark. But then Friday, I got up, and my whole hand is swollen. Still have full mobility, but I'm like, okay, I'm getting concerned. So I was like, if this doesn't go the other direction by tomorrow, I'm gonna go to the doctor. And one of my lovely Twitter peoples said, go now. I'm like, it's probably a good idea. So I cut out early from work, went to urgent care, got myself some drugs, which I thought was funny. Put this on Twitter too, but if you didn't see it. So here's the bottle that my oral steroids come in. That's a big pill bottle. How long is the series? 3 days. Holy biscuits, Andrew. How many pills do you have to swallow every single day? 1. Wait, I hear you ask. There's only 3 pills in this giant jar? Well, there's 2 now, but yeah. Are they gigantic pills? That's something I was worried about. I was like, oh my god, 3 pills in this giant in this giant container? Are they like huge? I mean, no. They're thick. They don't feel good going down, but yeah, don't know why don't know why it's that big. Were they out of the small bottles? I don't know. It's not like they have a ton of instructions to write on this, and they needed the more surface area. MX says, I'm probably sure that I accidentally put my hand on the bee because my mom told me that, because my mother nearly remembers everything. Yeah, moms have a tendency to do that. Cafe Fox, was it you? Let me... Hang on, gotta check. Yeah, it was you. Thank you, Cafe Fox. Cafe Fox was the one who said, if it's getting worse, go now, dummy. So, so I did. Anyway, Cafe Fox says, first time I was stung, I was a few years old. Right on the junk? Oh, man, because I was sitting in the grass watching the trash guy on the mower. Wow. That's not great. Sorry to hear that. Hopefully that's a story you just remember because you've been regaled with it rather than you actually remember it. But so I've got my oral steroids, and I've got some others that are, I forget what it is, but it is an anti-pain and itch, oral and topical. 2 different things. One's an oral, one's a pill, and the other's a topical ointment. So I'm on all that stuff. Woke up this morning. I feel heavy. Now, I'm a heavy guy anyway. I'm well over 200 pounds. But I woke up rather at like 8 o'clock, dragged my arse out of bed, came out into the living room, and then laid down on the couch. And then I got up and I went back to the bedroom and laid down. It's like every time I tried to get up, I could not remain upright for very long. Like, I tried doing my morning exercises, and I just kind of laid there on the floor. I did one, I'm like, nope. Finally got through them, but It took me a while to actually, because I need to take these with food. It took me a while to actually get breakfast. It took me about 4 solid hours in the morning before I could stay upright, even seated, for any extended period of time. I don't like these drugs. They're not fun. These are the unfun drugs. And I don't feel, like, nauseous, but I don't feel great. I feel like I just want to lay down and stay laying down all day, and I don't like that feeling. In fact, I was thinking I should probably not even do the podcast, but I can sit up. It's fine. Didn't do the podcast last week, not because I was sick or anything, but because I was on vacation and just wanted to take the night off. Let's see. MX says, how long does the mark where the bee would sting last? Well, this is the 4th day. So that's 3 solid, so 3 days and maybe an hour or two, plus an hour or two. And as you can see, there's still a mark. There's still some swelling, but at least you can kind of see my knuckles now. It depends on the person. In fact, the doctor I spoke with says, you're probably fine, but you might consider just keeping an EpiPen around, just in case. I'm like, okay, but, this might be a stronger reaction than many to bee stings, but then again, if I got hit by a whole swarm, yeah, I might be in trouble. Cafe Fox says, I can't sleep on prednisone. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. I was informed that exactly. Yes, I'm just trying to make sure I have my drugs right. Yeah, they told me to take the prednisone, the steroids, in the mornings because it's hard to sleep on these, like Cafe Fox said. Yeah. So, yeah, that's why I woke up this morning, and it took me about 2 hours to actually make myself breakfast so I could take one of those. Because the pain and anti-itch medication I have actually does apparently make you tired. So I'm on 2 drugs that are trying to do 2 different things. One's trying to keep me awake, one's trying to put me to sleep, and they're both making me feel bad. So Andrew has some smooth hands, lol. Well, it's all the lotioning. Big on lotion. Not really. I actually don't like lotion because I don't like most smell goods, and lotion it's like having slime on your hands. I don't like it. But let's see. Jared says I also had a same or close to the same reaction when I was stung in the hand. Yeah. So this is, as you can see, it's still red and it's still raised, and it's still swollen. It's still a local swell. It's not my whole hand now. So that's good. Anyway, I'm still cool with bees. Like this, I don't think this has made me afraid. Maybe I should go out and sit by the flowers and watch the bees and see if I get really nervous. But it's very hot outside. Let's see. It is 79. But it's 112 in Phoenix. So gracious. 'Tis warm. Hope it's tolerable wherever y'all are. So, let's see. Let me check something real quick. Okay, so this week, one of the streaming services I subscribe to is the Criterion Collection. And they've got a bunch of cool old movies. And one of the series that they have is Once Upon a Time in China. And that's a Jet Li series of movies. It was really popular in the 90s. There's like 6 of them. I never got around to seeing any of the Once Upon a Time in China movies. And, you know, I like martial arts movies. So, kind of surprises me. And those are, you know, as a series go, one of the, you know, big name ones. It's one of the ones that are known. It's a very noted franchise. So this week I was like, okay, I'm going to watch all of them. Maybe not inside of a week, but I'm going to watch the first one. I'm going to watch the second one. I'm going to watch the third one. So I watched the first Once Upon a Time in China, and I honestly have no idea why that film series is popular. Maybe the sequels are good, but man, I found the first movie dreadfully dull. Pardon me. It's a weird movie. It's I mean, I can get why it would work from kind of a national pride sort of perspective, because it's very yay China, rah rah. So it's like yay our country, wee, and that's cool. There are some well conceived set pieces. There are many, especially the ending. There's a lot of great ideas. I don't think they're executed particularly well. In fact, most of the performers I thought were not great. Jet Li's he's clearly one of his earlier roles, and he's clearly a talented performer when it comes to martial arts. His acting is wooden as hell. But there were a couple. There were at least 2 actors in this, not Jet Li, who had some really strong presence, though. Everyone else was pretty forgettable. The humor didn't work. It's not a funny movie. It's trying to be in a lot of places, but humor didn't land for me. The acting is broadly pretty flat. Everything about this movie is bad. Like, the editing is bad. The sound design is bad. Like, you know, all that. It's bad and doesn't sync well. The cinematography was, I don't know, cinematography, editing, execution of the fighting choreography. Just, yeah, most of the fights are actually dull. I mean, again, I don't know why this movie is so popular. Again, maybe the sequels make up for it, but I didn't like it, so I'm not going to watch the sequels. Let's see. MX says, "Do you know what happened to the kittens in the Old Spice parody commercial? Wonder how old they would be." Oh, Well, they were a couple of weeks old when we shot that, and that was like 2011, I think. So they'd be older kitties now. I don't. They were given to a friend of mine's mom. Her cat had the litter, and they gave the kittens away. So hopefully they're, 12 years old and living happy, healthy lives still. I don't know who they went to, or if they both went to the same home. Chicago, hello. Honestly, I hadn't thought of those kittens in quite a long time. So, so yeah, once upon a time in China, I didn't like it. I would really like to. I'll have to ask around some of my friends and see if anyone I know is a fan of Once Upon a Time in China, and have a chat with them and see what see what works for them, because it didn't work for me. I found it dreadfully dull. I watched, but I did watch a series, although it's only 2 movies. I watched both of the Orphan films. So a decade ago, they made a film called Orphan, which is about an orphan. And killer orphan. And it's fine. It's okay. It's perfectly fine. Hell of a performance from an actor who was actually 10 or 11 years old at the time. She sold it. And she sold the twist. Really good makeup effects, too, helping to sell the twist. And then I watched the sequel, which is not a sequel. It's a prequel. That was made 10 years later and stars the same actor as the 10-year-old orphan. Except now she's a 21, 22-year-old woman, and it's really obvious. It's really kind of adorable that the whole movie is shot with her clearly either on her knees or her castmates up on boxes, or her on a larger set, or, them digging a trench in the floor for her to walk in, or it's shot from far away or the side or the back with an actual 9-year-old. It's actually kind of adorable how they're hiding the fact that this is an adult woman. It doesn't work, but it is pretty adorable. MX says the actor of the girl in Orphan was amazing for like 11. Yeah, however old she was, definitely not younger than teen, so 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there. Yeah, she did a great job with that role, and she does just fine in Orphan First Kill. And it's cool that they got the same actor, but I mean, she's clearly an adult now. That said, Orphan First Kill also has a twist. And it's a really genuinely cool twist. Unfortunately, from my perspective, I felt the twist should have come like 15-20 minutes earlier in the film, because I felt the movie needed more time to explore the consequences of said twist and the change in character dynamic that results from said twist. And I do apologize for dancing around it. I don't want to spoil anything. I don't think either of these movies are really great. Would I recommend you drop everything and go watch them? No. But, if you like creepy kid movies and you have the opportunity, sure. There's some fun stuff in both of them. Although I will say that Orphan First Kill has like the most unsatisfying climax I have seen in a film in a while. It's just, oh. So just that, huh? Okay. Oh, so this person just fell and hit their head and they're dead now. Okay, that's... Oh, also, there's actually 2 twists, kind of. There's a, where the movie, where most, I feel, would suspect the movie is going in the beginning, is not where it ends up going. I won't spoil it, but they elfin lead it. And if you've seen that series, you know what I'm talking about. Which means I just spoiled it for anyone who's seen Elfin Lead. So sorry. And then I watched 3,000 Years of Longing, which I did not know going in was an anthology film, but that's cool with me because I love me my anthology films. I liked it. For the first hour and change, like, first hour and 20 minutes or so, I was captivated. I was in, man. I thought it was I thought it was wonderful. It's just gorgeous, and then so a woman in, I don't know where she is, Istanbul, I think. She finds a genie lamp, and she tries cleaning it with an electric toothbrush, and the genie pops out, and it's like, 3 wishes, lady. And she's like, "Oh no, I'm a professor of stories. I know all about that monkey paw shit. You ain't tricking me into making wishes, because I know you'll just twist it around on me." And he's like, "Oh Christ, you're one of those, aren't you?" And he's like, "All right, well, let me tell you what my life's been like and how I ended up in that bottle. Each time I ended up in that bottle." So the Djinn and Tilda Swinton are sitting in a hotel room in hotel bathrobes, telling each other stories. That's the wraparound. And the stories are the individual segments of the anthology. So it's like, okay, so 3,000 years ago I was here, and there was a dude, and it was Queen Sheba, I think, and boy was she pretty, but then she fell in love with someone else, and then I got trapped in a bottle and stuff. So there's that story, and then so he tells the stories of each time he was let out of the bottle. And they are very fantastic. I mean, it's a genie, so they're very fantastical, and I thought very engaging. Now, the last segment is when Tilda Swinton finally makes her wish. Now we have a new segment. What is the genie's life in his future with Tilda on modern day Earth? That one I didn't find as interesting or compelling. I mean, it's not bad, but I just wasn't really into it like I was the wraparound in the first 3 stories. Still, there's some cool thematic stuff about the importance of stories and storytelling and things like that I resonate with me, and I thought were communicated well. Overall, I enjoyed it. I don't feel it sticks the landing, but I had fun. And then I finally watched The World's End, which is the 3rd of the ice cream trilogy, or whatever Edgar Wright calls them. So it's Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and World's End, which came out 10 years ago and I never got around to seeing. Probably because I'm a heretic who just doesn't like Hot Fuzz that much, which is weird because I admire how damn well put together that movie is. Holy biscuits, that is a well-written, well-constructed, well-executed movie that I just don't enjoy that much. Shaun of the Dead's a damned masterpiece, though. I really like Shaun of the Dead. So I finally got around to watching The World's End, and it's okay. Another movie I'd like to talk to some friends about if they've seen it, because I'm not sure that my subtextual reading of the film is correct. My read on the film is that imposed conformity is bad, yo. I'm like, okay, sure. In pretty much every circumstance I can think of, that, yeah, I would agree with that. We got the whole Footloose thing going on here, sure. I mean, there were look at how that forced conformity was uh, attempted in Hot Fuzz, the previous film. So yeah, cool. I'm on with that. But then the film's thesis seems to go on to say, but it's better than the alternative. I'm sorry, what? It really is? Is that what you're saying? I gotta be reading the film wrong, right? Yeah, that's a weird thesis for a movie. Forced conformity. It's bad. But, we may as well take it because, we suck hard. And yeah, I mean, human beings, we suck in myriad ways. But I don't know that forced conformity and control is like, yeah, it's bad, but I mean, it's better than the alternative. Really? That's... Edgar, are you okay? Do you need to talk to somebody, Edgar? I know it's been 10 years since you made this film, but that's kind of a fatalist, dark place to be, if I'm reading it right. But it's entertaining. The jokes were funny. There's a lot of fighting and fisticuffs, which is a lot better than Once Upon a Time in China, surprisingly. I mean, the athleticism on display isn't on the same level, but I was genuinely impressed with the fight choreography and execution throughout this film. So, and I don't even drink, and I enjoyed the movie. And the movie's about a pub crawl. Just 5 dudes trying to visit 12 pubs on the same evening and having a pint of beer at each pub, and a pint, because I'm American, no idea how much that is, but it seems to be a glass about this big. It seems to be a fairly sizable amount of alcohol. I don't know that drinking 12 of those in an evening would be healthy, but it's a lot of empty calories, so I imagine you could do it with, a couple of intermittent bathroom breaks. Ice Cream and Blood trilogy? Blood and Ice Cream? Cornetto trilogy? What the hell did they call that? I don't remember. Let's see. Lindy says, I tried watching World's End twice and ended up falling asleep twice. Okay, well. Matthew says, Edgar is too busy working on Scott Pilgrim anime. Huh, that would have been around the same time. Let's IMDb it and take a look. Edgar Wright. Let's see. Scott Pilgrim. Well, Scott Pilgrim was 2010 and World's End was 2013, so should have been done by then. Alright, what else did I watch? Boy, I've been watching movies. Watched a movie that, this has been around for a while. It's called Downrange. A great premise. It's kids, there's like 6 kids in a car. They suffer a blowout in the middle of nowhere, and they're pinned down by a sniper who shot out their tire, and now they're just trying not to get shot. Will any of them make it through the day or make it out alive? Watch and see. Now, this was interesting. This movie was directed by Ryuhei Kitamura, I think is his name. Well known for, I think, Versus and some other stuff. Low budget, real. I was inspired by the Matrix-y, crazy camera, lots of blood flying all over the place. Cool premise. A lot of cool ideas at play. Like, someone will drive by. Yeah, but he's just going to shoot him. I think the movie didn't really figure out what tone it was going for. If it wanted to be nihilistic and mean, or if it wanted to be funny, or if it wanted to be, a suspense thriller. It's all of those things, depending on what time code you're watching. And it doesn't always mesh, I don't feel. Also, Kitamura's signature spin the camera around and do weird stuff, I felt did not fit this movie. Um, the characters didn't. The performances were fine, but the characters didn't really stand out. I mean, they're not bad, but I'm not like super invested in them. Like, I can't remember any of their names. There was the one guy and the one girl, and the other girl and that other guy who was. Oh, there's actually one beat that I thought was really funny. Josh, who I think is the first to die. There's this actual running gag that I thought was charming and funny. No one can remember Josh's name, and it's just a funny gag. Before the shooting starts, one of the girls is like, "Is his name Jeff?" No, it's Josh. It's like, "Oh my god." I thought it was something else, and I was like, I wanted to talk to him, and I thought I had his name wrong, but I didn't. It's like, a relatable thing. You're in a group of new friends, and you're like, oh God, what is his name? And then later in the movie, once the shooting starts, our survivors are huddling on one side of the car, and they're like, oh God, if we don't get shot, we're just going to dehydrate out here or be eaten by coyotes or something like that. And his head rolls to the side, and he sees Josh's body laying in the road, and he rolls his head back to the other girl, and he's like, was his name Jeff? This is Josh. It's like, Josh. That hit me as funny. Just one of those things. That was a nice piece of writing right there. That I liked. The rest of it, meh. The gore is there, but the special makeup effects and stuff didn't have a lot of budget. Clearly, it's fun, but it's not that well done. Lee says, shame because I enjoyed Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, and yes, it's the Cornetto trilogy. Yes, okay. Another thing that we don't have here in America, at least so far as I know. I mean, we have similar ice cream treats. It's just a ice cream in a cone, right? That's wrapped up and put in a freezer. I mean, we have. Actually, didn't we just discontinue the drumstick? I mean, that's a similar idea, I think. But let's see, with movie casts voying their characters, I'm not sure what word that was supposed to be. They're making a Scott Pilgrim anime. Voicing. You're not. Oh, okay. I get. You're telling me that they're making a Scott Pilgrim anime to release soon, and the movie cast from 15 years ago are returning to voice their characters. Wow, did I have that completely wrong? I thought you were making some observation that maybe World's End turned out the way it did because his attention was split with Scott Pilgrim. I'm like, they were a couple of years apart, but no. Okay, what you're saying is they're making an anime with the movie cast voice. Oh, okay, neat. I wonder if they'll use the comic designs for the characters. Anyway, Downrange, not a terrible film. And then I watched The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. Now, this is a movie I've known about since, I think it came out in 1984. That was a hell of a year. That's not a year you want to come out with Ghostbusters and Gremlins and Indiana Jones 2, and I think Back to the Future was that year too. That was a hell of a year. Don't come out that year if you can avoid it. But yeah, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. Long heard of this film, never got around to seeing it. I didn't like it. It is the Andy Kaufman of movies. I am impressed by its commitment to the bit. I just don't find the bit that funny. The movie is presented as if it's like part of a much larger franchise that's been around for a while. With, like, the movie has callbacks to events and characters, but the joke is there's nothing to call back to. Which is a cute idea, and man, they're committed to this. But again, I didn't think it was that funny. Stacked cast though. It's got Peter Weller as Buckaroo Banzai himself, RoboCop Alex Murphy. I've got Ellen, not Bernstein, Ellen Barkin, very baby Ellen Barkin. Jeff Goldblum's in it. Dan Hedeya's in it. The Christopher Lloyd. Clancy Brown. It's just you can sit there for the oh that person, that person, that person, that person. A bunch of people that we recognize and love now. Unless we have no taste, then we don't love them. Unless they turned out to be horrible people at some point, which sadly is frequent. Yeah, it's it didn't work for me, and oh well. Then I saw a movie whose name I can't pronounce because it's French, so I'm just going to use the English title. It's Eleanor's Secret, and it's cute. Another movie with a neat premise where Eleanor's an old lady who passes away and leaves her books to her very young nephew or something like that, who can't read. He's 7. But he enjoys books. He likes being read too. And what he needs to do is, now that it's magic. So he's the caretaker. It's a cartoon also. He's a caretaker of all these books: Red Riding Hood, Peter Pan, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Pinocchio, all the classic fairy tales. And he has to read a magic enchantment, a spell, so that the story characters don't do a Back to the Future and fade out of the photograph, so to speak. Because stories don't matter if no one tells them to anybody, is kind of the idea. It's another film with a theme on the importance of stories and storytelling and the power of them. The power that they have, but they need to be given that power by people actually giving a damn about their existence, right? Closed book on your shelf may look nice, but it doesn't really do more than that. So he gets shrunk to, like, Honey, I Shrunk the Kid size. Well, not that small, but Thumbelina size maybe, for reasons. And he goes on a quest with Alice in Wonderland, the white rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, and some ogre, to make it back to the library so that he can hopefully overcome his inability to read through sheer will, and read the spell to save all the fantasy creatures. It's cool. At first, whenever he looks at the page of a book, the letters just start swirling all over the place. I'm like, oh, is he dyslexic? That's a novelty. It's not that he's like, you're 7 and you still can't read, neener, neener, neener. It's like, dude, I'm dyslexic. Kiss my grits. No, I don't think I don't think that's what they intended. I think he's just he's lacking in confidence. And in some ways, perhaps a missed opportunity. In another, I don't think they would have handled that well. Dyslexia is not something, my understanding, dyslexia is not something you can overcome through sheer force of will. That's like a paraplegic who uses a wheelchair. And it's like, no, you just sheer gumption, stand up. It's like, that's not how that works. Some really great moments in this little animated feature, and you know what, the pro literacy and pro media preservation themes that really resonate particularly right now. So it's a nice movie for the time. Although the film's like, I don't know, Not a recent film. I don't remember when it came out. But... So now I've seen like 4. I mentioned, I think during the Unicorn Warriors Eternal debut review, that I was sensing some French influence in the background, in the style of the backgrounds. And I also pointed out, I think I've only seen like 3 French cartoons. Well, now I've seen 4. So. And then this afternoon I watched Gilda, which is Rita Hayworth and John Ford, something like that. I didn't like it. It's not bad. Like, from a technical standpoint, it's really nice. You know, it's shot well. The acting is, well, it's very old school, old style, but you know, the performers all have, like, you know, really strong presence and charisma. It has a really unique approach to what's essentially a love triangle, particularly compared to movies of the era, to other movies of the era. They also there's kind of, you know, 2 characters have a history, and that feels like in other movies it would be something that would be a reveal that's built up to over a while. But I mean, it's instantly clear that's not what this movie is. They're like, yeah, these two have a past. You know what their past is, and they hate each other. They did not part on good terms. The biggest problem I had with the film really is I just didn't like any of the characters. All the characters are just lousy people. Like Rita Hayworth and I'm sorry, Glenn Ford is his name. What did I say? John Ford? Yeah, I think I said John Ford. Glenn Ford. They are both just kind of awful people. They suck. They hate each other. And I'm not invested in either of them, so where they end up at the film's denouement, I don't really care. Again, not a bad film, it just didn't really connect with me. Let's see, Matthew says, well, hope you like video games and anime. There won't be much coming out of Hollywood for a while. Yeah. With SAG-AFTRA and Writers Guild, Directors Guild, DGA, I think buckled and signed some agreement weeks past. But so that's happening right now, which means a lot of productions are shut down. So in a year, there's going to be a bit of a drought for new releases. And pay people. Making movies expensive? Yep. But, you can find the money to pay your creative peoples if you know where to look. Look at the CEOs! You know? Just pay your writers and directors and performers and all the craftspeople. You know, even the people who aren't specifically part of these unions. You are obscenely wealthy because of their work. You, CEOs, don't do anything. You don't create anything. Your wealth comes directly from the exploitation of these your employees' work. So pay them. You're not going to be broke. You're still going to be multi-millionaires, and in some cases billionaires. Just slightly less. Like, seriously. David Zaslav, Bob Iger. What a shit stain of a person he's turning out to be. What's amazing is what a shitty person Bob Iger clearly is. while simultaneously being so much better a human being than his predecessor, Bob Chapek. It's like, wow, man. Good job on clearing that low bar. But I mean, all of these CEOs, just the singular CEO, Reed Hastings over at Netflix, these people get paid so much goddamn money that you could literally, all the DGA and the or WGA and the SAG-AFTRA, everything they're asking for, you could take all of that out of the CEO only's paycheck. Well, the paycheck and benefits and bonuses and the cumulative monies they're earning, and they would still remain obscenely wealthy. So essentially they're saying it's like, yeah, I mean, I could pay people so they could, live, but then I wouldn't be as millionaire-ish. I'd still be a millionaire. I'd still have more money than I could ever possibly spend, but I'd have slightly less. Like, imagine being such an asshole that you have, I don't know, $250 million, and being like, I mean, I could just take $75 million and pay all of the people who are specifically the reason I have $250 million. But then I'd only have $175 million. You know what? If it's between having $175 million and keeping $250 million, I'd rather people starve and lose their homes. Which, I forget who actually, that might have been Iger. I don't know if it was Iger. It was some meeting at a American Film Producers, whatever the hell the acronym is. It was leaked that someone was saying, all we have to do is just wait a couple more months, and then, with these people not working, they're going to start losing their houses, and they'll stop striking, and we can continue under... It's like, wow, that's cartoonishly evil. That's cartoonishly evil enough to make Ron Perlman very mad at you. You don't want Ron Perlman mad at you. I don't want Ron Perlman mad at me. I would do everything in my power to keep Ron Perlman from being mad at me. That's not a position I want to be in. So I would recommend that CEOs, not do that either. Let's see. But, from a self-centered perspective, a year from now, when we are seeing the tangible results of the strikes in the form of a bit of a dearth of new content, there's a bunch of movies and video games and books and music and stuff that I have not watched, listened to, read, or played. I don't think I got that in the exact right order, but yeah. I'll take a hole in the release schedule so that people are paid fairly. Even if they're, even if someone writes a bad script, they should still be paid for it, because that's still work. They may have trouble getting more work if they write poorly, but I've seen some people, well, look at this writing in this video game or this show that I subjectively think is shit. They're asking for, livable wages when this is the, this anecdotal example. It's like, dude, stop being an asshole. I'm a QA guy. Sometimes I miss stuff. But I should still be paid. It's like, how, you should be paid? You missed a thing. It's like, yeah. I'm human. That happens. Like, don't be a jerk. Kind of what it comes down to. Just don't be a jerk. Pay people. If you have employees, pay them. Pay them fairly. And if you find that they're not being paid fairly and you're a multimillionaire, pay them fairly. You can continue being a multimillionaire and pay people fairly. You big old jerks. Anyway. Chaos says, yeah, I hope the next Mission Impossible doesn't get delayed. Not due till next June, but it hasn't finished filming yet. They're still filming that? I thought those were shot simultaneously. I wasn't... I'll take your word for it. I was not keeping track of that. I'm one of those viewers of the Mission Impossible movies who's like, it's not like the show that I like, so I don't like the movies. Meh. You know, I kind of have a little bit of that going. When I saw Mission Impossible back in, Jesus, the 90s, 96, somewhere around there, I was like, but that's all wrong. How dare you be different than the thing I already like? I've only seen the first 4 Mission Impossible movies. They're fun action spectacles, I'll give them that, but they're not what I want out of a Mission Impossible movie. Have not seen the latter, the newest ones, so I think I'm only missing 2, soon to be 3. Matthew says, here's a weird paradox. CEO pay didn't shoot up until the FTC forced companies to make CEO pay public. It's a weird case of transparency making things worse. New to me. Unintuitive too, but I don't know. Certainly is interesting. You know, one thing movie studios are not transparent on are streaming numbers. Which one of the things that the various unions are arguing for is transparency there. So, because people want residuals, they want to be paid for their work. Like, if you're going to continue making money off of my work product, pay me. And streamers don't communicate how popular something is. Or rather, they're not transparent. Sometimes they'll tell you. They're like, this was very popular, or this wasn't very popular. And we have no idea if that's true or not. So it's very difficult for a creative to be in any position of bargaining power when they have no data to work with. It's like, yes, you should pay me money to make content for you because my last project that I made for you was... I don't know. The streamers can say, well, the last thing you made for us, just didn't do that well, so, we'd still like to work with you, though, but maybe for a lower fee. It's like, I'd like to see the numbers on that, honestly. You can't use our likenesses and our voices and, AI. There's a lot of stuff. End of the day, I just want everyone who works to be paid fairly. Because I'm aware that some people, no one should have to work more than one job at a time. I'm fortunate in that not only do I have a job, it pays well enough that I can live in my little 800 square feet of bliss here. Put food in the fridge and buy an occasional video game. By the way, Brian's Patreon reward is coming up. So I picked up Psychonauts 2. So we'll be playing that on the Sunday stream in a couple of weeks. So look forward to that. And I only have to have one job. I can't imagine having to do well, I mean, I can. I have a pretty good imagination, but and I've worked in gig type economies, like as a performing artist. So anyone who is a singer, any type of stage performance, acting, singing, writing, commissioned writing for, like websites and stuff like that, which I've also done. Art. That is a very difficult industry to. It can be personally very gratifying because a lot of people who make art because they like making art. Like, when I sing, I like singing. I can't draw for shit, but I can sing. Okay. I'm a fairly competent singer. If I have the right people to sing with. I'm an okay actor, and I find that stuff fun, but I can't make a living doing it. Very difficult part of the industry to make a living at. As much fun as it is. Would I like to make a living doing things that do I like my job at UC doing QA? Yeah. The last year's been quite fulfilling, and 10 days short of 1 full year. So hey, how about that? Anniversary time. Would I rather do performing arts for a living? Oh yeah, absolutely. Would I rather have a singing group and go touring around and do shows and stuff? Yeah, I'd rather do that. That would be more fun. Do I like creative writing better? Yeah. Do I like stage performance and acting better? Yeah. But I personally can't make a living doing it. Very few people can. That said, I think everybody who works, and that stuff is work, even if you may not like the product, like, well, I didn't like that comic book you drew, or I didn't like that play you were in. Well, I mean, fair enough. Still work. And should be paid well enough that I can, live. And I know of too many people who, have multiple jobs, and it's like, yeah, I do this and this and this. It's like, when are you not working? Oh, when I'm sleeping. Well, that sounds horrible. Yeah. So, stop hoarding money, rich people. Don't have anything against rich people. Just, this just strikes me as so obvious as a non-rich person. When you're sitting on fat stacks of cash that you got specifically from the work of the people whom you employ, please pay them. Even if you're less of a millionaire. You'll feel good about yourself. And Ron Perlman won't be mad at you. Lindy says, this career choice of mine has aged me horribly, but I love to draw for a living. Well, I hope it is a living, Lindy, because I like your artistic outputs. I find your work quite appealing. In fact, I don't think you can see. Let's see. Yeah, can't really see it. I have some Lindy art on my shelf right there. I can show it off. I've probably shown it before. There you go. There's Lum. Isn't she cute? And yes, the blue and the purple there, those are all my Urusei Yatsura DVDs. So, an anime that I love, but I hate saying the name of because I can't say it correctly. That's a tough one for English speakers like me. So, all right. What did I have anything else I really needed to talk about? Sure. I also watched My Adventures with Superman. I've seen 3 episodes now. That's, so far as I know, all that's available. And, yeah, I think it's cute. I like the, it's... Wish it had a little bit more of a budget. Its animation is struggling here and there, but, overall it's attractive. I like the new designs for the various characters, both their actual character design and the new relationships and interactions between characters. I think the new spins on the various characters are a hoot. The show does skew a little young for me, but there are a lot of people younger than me, so not everything has to be targeted directly to my specific sensibilities. But overall, I'm enjoying this in many ways unique take on the Superman story. I'm digging it so far. I think I'll probably stick with it for a few more episodes and see if it goes somewhere interesting. I think this is only a 10-episode series, so probably be pretty easy to stick out the whole thing. I don't think it's like a full 26 episodes or something like that, but yeah, I'm digging it so far. A few nitpicks here and there, usually along the lines of, that particular design isn't really doing it for me. That's a little young skewing and goofy for my taste, but overall, digging it. Cafe Fox, clappity clap. Yes, this is very cool. I like this. Lindy also did the art for the not Molehill, that was Scott. The Movie Mandates, podcast my sister and I do. New one this Wednesday, by the way. It's July. July was Independence Month. I forget what the movie is. I think it's Igby Goes Down. That sounds right, yeah. So that's on Wednesday. And last thing I watched, finally watched some anime, although there's only one episode available, although maybe the second episode is available today or tomorrow. It's called Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead. Well, here's a mini debut review for it. I'm gonna watch episode 2, so it's a funny premise. It's about a overworked, horribly exploited office drone who is losing his will to live because he just gets up, goes to work, sometimes sleeps at the office. Has no time to himself. He's not eating properly. He can barely sleep even when he does go home. He doesn't have time to clean his apartment. He entered the industry bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and full of vim and vigor and dreams, and that has been systematically crushed from his soul for the last 3 years. Everything is dark and gray and hopeless. And his most fervent wish is, I hope I just don't wake up in the morning so I don't have to go to work. Well, he did wake up this morning, but the zombie apocalypse started, and all the his landlord is trying to eat his face. So now he's running down the street, being chased by wow. Design Docs, thank you very much. That is incredibly generous of you. Says, keep up what you do. Super happy after all these years you still do your thing. Guilty of not keeping up. You can blame YouTube. They're very bad about telling my subscribers when I upload stuff. And says I'm an inspiration. I hope I'm inspiring good things and not like inspiring you to repeatedly facepalm or groan internally. But thank you very much. That is exceedingly generous of you. Thank you. Matthew says, reminds me of a lot of Shaun of the Dead. I love his confession of love to a zombie. Yeah, he has a crush on his office coworker who's a zombie, and he finds his zombie floor manager or CEO or whoever it is, and he bows to him and announces his resignation, and then confesses his love to his zombie crush, and then runs before they eat, although I think he throws the CEO out the window, and then runs away from the gnashing teeth of his zombie crush. And the joke here is the zombie apocalypse may have started. I'm probably going to be ripped limb from limb by zombies, but I don't have to go to work today! Woo! I don't have to go to work ever again. I'm so happy. Even if I die today, even if I'm consumed by a ravenous horde of zombies, I don't have to go to the office. This is the best day ever. And that is hilarious. No idea where this show is actually going. It could ruin this premise immediately. Don't know. But I'm excited to see where this actually goes. Another, from an aesthetics thing that I really, really like is the blood in the... there's blood just splattered all over the place, but it's multicolored. So there's patches of red, yes, but also pinks and oranges and yellows and greens and blues and purples. It's a visually distinct... you know what it looks like? Have you ever... if some of my older viewers, you remember GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64, right? One of the cheats in GoldenEye was paintball mode, where instead of bullet hits on the walls, it would be multicolored paint splotches, different colors. So you just hose down the walls and it would just be like confetti all over the place. That's kind of what this anime looks like. There's just blood everywhere, but it's not gross because it's all multicolored. It gives it a very distinct visual identity that I find quite visually appealing. It also serves thematically to contrast the dark, gray, empty and hopeless position that our protagonist was in prior to the zombie apocalypse, and how now that he doesn't have to go to work, it's I can see clearly now the rain is gone. Yeah, just there's bright colors and the grass is green and the sky is blue and the blood is red flowing down the street, but oh my gosh, it's obvious and ham-handed, and they really drive it into the ground. I think they actually, the dialogue, or at least the localization of the dialogue, literally mentions that to make sure that you get it, you smart little anime viewer who's really good at subtextual analysis. But I mean, sometimes every show is someone's first for some reason, so I don't mind when they drive stuff like that home, because you got to learn stuff like that somewhere. And I can imagine some younger audiences going like, oh, I get it. So there was a bit of visual storytelling there, not someone, verbally communicating what's going on, but there's textual details in the color grading and the lighting and the cinematography. Ooh, that's interesting. I never thought about that. And, I mean, if no one tells you, you're less likely to actually think about that. So, I mean, was it on the nose? Sure. But I think it's still pretty well done, I thought. And I think, viewers, there are viewers who will get something out of that. So, Matthew remembers GoldenEye. Says, anime has a lot of things. Subtle has never been one of them. That's broadly true. Yes, subtlety is not is not typified by it. Yeah, you got a point there. All right, we're a quarter after the hour, so as a genre, yeah, subtlety, not one of the broader hallmarks of the genre, if you will, of anime. That's broadly true. Yep. All right, that's it for me. I'm gonna try to exist for the next couple of hours without laying down, because I've been doing enough of that today. Maybe I'll go for a walk since I'm dressed. I should probably eat dinner too, since it's after 8. Hey, is it cooler outside? Let's check the weather. 67. Okay, still 108 in Phoenix. Good Lord. Kalina, my friend of mine who lives in Phoenix, if you're watching, I know you're not. How could you? You have 3 kids. You can't do anything because you have 3 kids. I hope your air conditioning is very good, because I tell you, I don't miss Phoenix. I grew up in Phoenix. Okay, short history of my life. Born in Southern California. Parents divorced when I was 5. Mom took the kids, moved to Granada Hills, which is L.A. area. And we lived there for almost a year before we moved to Arizona, Phoenix. Well, Glendale, but the Maricopa County area. Where most of Mom's family is. And that's where I grew up. I went, grade school, high school there. I went to college there. And then a couple of years after college, moved in 2005, moved back here to California to work. And been here ever since. So, way better than the South. Well, with a couple exceptions, it may be 100 and... What'd I say? Maybe 108 in Phoenix right now, but it's a dry heat. Oh, except they're looking at a 30% chance of thunderstorms tonight. Oh, that's fun. But yeah, some of the southern states, like I've been to Florida, for example. It may only be in like the 90s, or shit, you guys may be rocking in the hundreds right now. I haven't checked, but it is muggy and swampy, and the humidity, it just makes everything gross. People die in that weather. It is so horrid. So yeah, my southern friends, it sucks all over. So please stay as safe as you can. Even I'm being, when I go out and do cardio, I live in San Diego. It's one of the nicer places you can be right now. But even when I'm going outside to do cardio and strapping 30 pounds of weights to my ass like an idiot, I'm being very mindful of heat exhaustion, because I don't want to drop outside. So, all right, that's it for tonight. Stay safe, take care. Tomorrow we're gonna Sunday stream some more Trails from Zero. Got one more fish to find, so we're gonna see if we can finish out our fishing. Not dictionary. What word am I looking? Fishiary, like a bestiary, but for fish. So, all right, that's it out of me. Thanks for hanging out with me. I don't feel great, but at least my hand is healing. All right, take care, everyone. Bye bye.